What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today is a video that I wanted to make a few days ago. There's been tons of rumors surrounding this topic, and it's Oliver Ekman-Larsson. There's been rumors of him going to the Bruins, some trades that were, vetoed or not happening because of him denying a trade that he wouldn't go to Calgary. And then, of course, the biggest one is the Vancouver Canucks. And if you are new to this channel, you're probably seeing a ton of Leaf content. Don't worry, I talk about all NHL teams. It's just lately, I've been talking a lot about the Leafs as they are my favorite team. But I would love for you guys to recommend some videos down below, and I'll talk about it. I love trade rumors, and I love talking about stuff that's actually, potentially could happen. Everybody loves trades. Everybody loves rumors. So yeah, if you're interested in that type of content, let me know. But is there a trade coming with Oliver Ekman-Larsson? New information pretty much every single day, and it looks like two teams that aren't exactly in the greatest position financially. One of them in a terrible financial position, and I think we all know who that is. And the other one tied up with some kind of bad contracts and some big names coming up that they need to pay, and that's the Vancouver Canucks. But this is Oliver Ekman-Larsson's stats. Let's just start it off with this. And actually, by the way, I do have to say, I think there's some people that look at a name and that's the value. Oliver Ekman-Larsson was an elite defenseman. He could unlock that same elite play with a better team in Vancouver, which I think he'll play better if he does end up going to Vancouver. But I don't think that he's elite anymore. And he's overpaid for what he does. And again, this contract, this contract and this trade and everything like that, we'll get into more details later on in this video. But I just need to say that just because, Oliver Ekman-Larsson is a name, like a lot of people know who he is, hockey fans know him, it doesn't mean that he has a ton of value just off of that. And unfortunately, I think some people think that way. I just had to get that out of the way. I don't think he's elite anymore. I still think he's good. But looking at his numbers, you can see he's had some years where he's put up big numbers, scoring 20 goals multiple times. This past season, in 66 games played, he had 30 points. That Arizona team should have, been a little bit better, but they weren't. And now, of course, they're in big-time financial trouble. And they've done some things that they shouldn't have. The camps that they were running, or scouting, illegal scouting that they were doing. But anyways, you can see he's put up good numbers before. It's just Oliver Ekman-Larsson is not as well-rounded as people are giving him, credit for. I think that he's pretty damn good, but he's not like this defensive stud that some people are labeling him as, or what you see the craziest stuff on Twitter. And I'm not even just talking about people that just randomly tweet. Like, people who actually have a following are trying to act like Oliver Ekman-Larsson still has like this immense trade value, but it's his contract that's holding him back. Now, this is what I want to get into next. Look at the Arizona Coyotes for a second here. They have lots of players that they need to get signed. Taylor Hall is probably going to be moving on from them, and they only have $3.6 million in cap space. They don't have a first this year. They don't have a first next year. They don't have a second this year, and they don't have a third this year. They are going to tear this team apart, I think, and it could happen at any moment just because they don't have the money, plus they don't have the financial flexibility. Like, it's one thing, like, there's cap space, which they don't have a lot of, and there's actual money that they also don't have a lot of. They can't pay bonuses. They were late to paying bonuses. They're in hot water. They're in trouble. They don't have a lot. They don't have prospects or upcoming prospects because they're not going to have big picks coming up unless they make trades. And that's why they're asking for so much in an Oliver Ekman-Larsson trade. They don't have the money to go out there and sign big-name free agents because they've got some players that are tied into bad deals, including Oliver Ekman-Larsson, which I wish, that they could hold on to, but his deal is a little bit too expensive. And again, I don't want this to sound bad. I'm not trying to crap all over Arizona, because I actually do love the Coyotes. I was so pumped this year when they made the Taylor Hall move, and I love Oliver Ekman-Larsson, don't get me wrong. It's just, he is overpaid, okay? And this is coming from a Leaf fan, okay? But he's overpaid. And that's just the problem. Arizona can't afford to keep him. They can't afford to pay bonuses, and his money is too much. They can't afford to do it. Looking at Larson right here, okay? So this year, he's getting paid $8.25 million. That's his cap hit. That's what he's getting all the way until the 2026-27 season. A very long contract. for a guy who's 29 years old. At the end of that contract, it's going to not be very good. So in any trade with Vancouver, there's probably going to be some salary retained. Vancouver's probably going to try to give a bad contract back to Arizona, and we'll get to that in a second. But also look at signing bonuses right there. Total salary. The Coyotes can't afford to give him that 10.5 that they're going to pay him next year in real money and the next few years. They are hurt for cash. Paying out that much money for one player is probably something that they're not going to be able to do. So that no movement clause has Oliver Ekman-Larsson kind of choosing where he wants to go. And right now it looks like he just wants to go to Vancouver. So this kind of ties up the Arizona Coyotes. They asked him to expand his list, to other teams that he could go to, and he doesn't want to do that. So like I said, Arizona's kind of in a bit of a bind here. They don't have the flexibility to go out there and figure out what other teams could be interested, because he just doesn't want to go there. So look at that total salary number and see how it goes to 10.5. Arizona's not going to want to pay that money. If they're late to their bonuses for a few $1 million, how are they supposed to pay out $10.5 million to Oliver Ekman-Larsson? It just doesn't make sense. This guy's getting traded, and it's going to have to be a monster deal with money coming in and money coming out. But they're somehow going to have to save money. That's just how it goes. Now, let's look at the Vancouver Canucks. So right there it says they have $14.2 million in projected cap space. And, a lot of people are going, oh, well, they're set up. They're fine. If Oliver Ekman-Larsson, let's say even with a little bit of salary retained, still comes in at like $6.5–7 million, right? That still takes up a huge chunk of their money. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because Jim Benning's going to have to get creative. Because let's block my face here for a second, and I'm sure everybody's pretty pumped about that. But Louis Eriksson, $6 million for this year and next year. That contract is bad. Brock Besser, good contract. We love Brock Besser. Same with Bo Horvat. JT Miller, that's not a bad deal either. Sutter, expensive. Tanner Pearson, that 3.7 is kind of expensive as well. Michael Furland at 3.5. I don't think that they're too choked about that deal. He's, not a bad player. Sven Barchi, 3.3, a little expensive, but they're probably okay with that. Roussel and Beagle, obviously Jay Beagle at $3 million there. That's not a good contract. But you have guys like Virtanen, Toffoli, Levo, Godet. Like, there's a bunch of guys there at the bottom of their lineup that they need to re-sign. Toffoli being a big one, that's going to cost you what, $5.5–6 million, right? So where's this money coming from? And it's not just that. This is the other list we need to get to. Their blue line and their goaltending, which is obviously the huge discussion. You have Chris Tanev on that blue line, who's an unrestricted free agent. He's going to be looking for something over $4 million at least. That Myers contract isn't very good, but that's the deal they signed. That's the guy that they want back there. Thatcher Demko is signed, but you don't have Jacob Markstrom, who's looking at like a $7 million deal, 6.5. Like, he's looking for big money. So that $14 million goes away really fast. And of course, they're still paying the recapture penalty for Roberto Luongo and the Ryan Spooner buyout history, right? So they do not have a ton of money to mess around with. So this is why I'm saying in any trade that they make for Oliver Ekman-Larsson, let me pull up this again. In any trade that they're going to have to make for Oliver Ekman-Larsson, they're going to have to get rid of some of this cap that they're using. Because if you're bringing in that massive contract, that doesn't give you much room to sign a Markstrom. It doesn't give you enough room to have flexibility for when Pettersson's deal is up, because that's going to come in the next couple of years. You've also got the fact that you need to re-sign guys like Tanev, Toffoli. Like, they need to get rid of those contracts somehow. Vancouver needs to find a way to get rid of a few of those bad deals if they want to make an Oliver Ekman-Larsson trade, or they're going to have to figure out a way to make this deal an even bigger trade. They're going to have to figure out ways to get creative to an extent where we're not even thinking of. Because you are not going to make this trade without giving Arizona something of value, plus giving them a bad contract, plus probably a prospect that they're looking at. Like, there's so many different things to this deal that makes me think that I don't know if it's possible with a team like Vancouver. And that's why it's very difficult for Arizona right now, because they're not being given very much help here from Oliver Ekman-Larsson, because he doesn't want to go anywhere except for Vancouver at this point. You know, I think Boston might be intriguing, but I'm not sure how they make that work either, and I don't know why Boston would want to make that move. Like, I think he would fit into that team, but I think Torrey Krug is a better fit for that squad, and I'd rather them just give them the money to Torrey Krug. But again, I'm not a GM, I don't know, and everything that I could be saying here could just be complete BS, and you know, something happens and it's an easy trade, no problems, they get everything done. But that's not going to happen. We know that. It's going to be difficult. There's things that they need to do to make this work, and it's not going to be easy. So I need to hear what you guys are thinking down below. Make sure to comment if you're a Canucks fan, if you're a Bruins fan, if you're an Arizona Coyotes fan. Let me know what you guys think about all this. I know maybe Calgary still has an outside shot. I'm not positive on that. I've just been reading some rumors. And guys, you know, I've been looking at stuff from real sources. I don't have direct sources, but I just look on Twitter and you know, look at people who actually have been credited for actual trades and actual rumors in the past. Don't get caught up in these fake accounts. Make sure what you're looking at is a legit account and a legit person, because, you know, the guy with 10 followers that says breaking news, a trade is happening, and then it doesn't happen for 10 days is probably not a good source. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you're new, make sure to subscribe, join the squad. Love to have you guys here. Let's get to 8,000 subscribers. Again, I appreciate it, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video or stream. Is Oliver Ekman-Larsson going to get traded, and is it to the Canucks? Let me know. Peace.